Well, so now you have a single mom with five kids living in South Central. And you yourself, you were about, what, 10 years old when you started realizing that you were like a gifted athlete?
Yeah, when I was young, I realized that, but I didn't have any structure because I didn't have a male figure around to support me, to encourage me. My father never came to my games or, never put me in Little League when I was 10. I didn't really start playing baseball until he was out of the house, so that was around 14. That's when I started playing and got involved with some friends that I went to school with, and they took me to a park called Rancho Park to go and probably sign up to play. And one of the coaches saw me there, and I threw a pitch to him, and he said, throw to me, and I threw a fastball to him and threw a curveball, and he saw me throw a curveball, and he told the other guys, well, you go hide him out because he's going to play on our team. So that's how I really got involved with playing baseball, the start of playing baseball, because of the coach. And then I would continue to go forward, after that, after my father was nowhere around and didn't help out. Mom bought me cleats, mom bought me a glove, and it was just like, she said, if you want to play, well, go ahead. And she allowed me to go play, but because my father wasn't allowing us to play when we were that age. So we just struggled at a younger age trying to figure out, who are we? What are we? What is this life all about?
Right. And the kids used to call you Straw Dog early on because you were just dogging people out.
Well, they did. They gave me the nickname Straw Dog, because I would, I play against a lot of good teams in that little league at Rancho Park, and I was young left-hander, and I would just dog them out when I got on the mound. But also at the plate, when I was facing other good guys, that were from the same neighborhood, and I was just taking them deep, taking them to the next diamond, because the ballparks were open. You didn't have a fence around the ballpark. The ballparks were wide open. It was a wide open opportunity, so you could hit a home run, but you had to run like crazy around those bases to make sure you make it a home run. But they would play me in so much, and I would hit it so deep, they would have to run so far after the ball. So about the time I got to the plate, they were just barely getting the ball back in. So, that's why they would call me Straw Dog, because you just didn't let up. You didn't let up when you got on the mound. You didn't let up when you were hitting.
Okay, so you played at Crenshaw for the Crenshaw High School Cougars. And a lot of guys from that high school were going pro, like straight out of high school.
Well, a lot of guys from Crenshaw was going in basketball before baseball was, really the big thing. And I say that because you have guys like Marcus Johnson, guys like that came out of Darwin Cook. All those guys came out of Crenshaw way before I did. Wendell Tyler came out before I did out of Crenshaw. Ellis Valentine came out in baseball. So Ellis Valentine was the biggest name in baseball that came out of Crenshaw High. And it wasn't until 1979 when we had a really good team. I think it was a book written about the team, about the Crenshaw Cougar baseball team, the best team ever in high school, because we had 4 guys get drafted that year off our team. Our third baseman, Chris Brown, got drafted by the San Francisco Giants in the second round. Our left fielder got drafted by the Giants. And our first baseman was a twin. He got drafted by the Giants, and his brother was a center fielder. He got drafted by the Yankees. So 79, we played in the city championship at Dodger Stadium in my junior year at high school. We played against Granada Hills. We lost that championship game. And the guy that played for Granada Hills was a third baseman by the name of John Elway. They beat us in the city championship at Dodger Stadium in 79. And all the scouts were asking my coach, after the other players, that they knew who they were. And they said, well, what about the tall Lakey kid you got, Strawberry? He goes, he's a junior, and he plays basketball. He goes, he plays basketball? They said, well, please tell him don't get hurt on the basketball court, because we'll be looking at him next year, because so many scouts said I reminded them. Some said Ted Williams, but a lot of scouts like George Genevieve, that was a Giant scout, he said I remind myself of Willie McCovey, who played for the San Francisco Giants. Was a big first baseman, long, lanky, hit the ball a long way. They said, well, he have a great future in baseball. Just make sure he don't get hurt playing basketball in his senior year.
Okay, so you finished off your senior year, and you had the option. You could either go to college or you could go pro in baseball. And you decide to actually enter the draft.
Yeah,
And you get drafted by the Mets.
well, of course. I mean, it was the #1 draft pick in the country, so I was the first pick in the draft that year, 1980, out of high school, and that's over all the players that were getting drafted. And so I would get drafted by the New York Mets, and the day of the draft was, I was in class, and the principal comes to get me out and saying, "Oh, you've been drafted, and they want to talk to you over at the around the baseball area where coach is over there about being drafted." And they got me out of class, and I went over there, and then they said, "Well, okay, you've been drafted. You got a phone call from the New York Mets, and they say you've been the #1 pick." I said, "Okay." They says, "Well," I said, "Okay," but I just wanted to play. And they said, we selected you the #1 pick, and we're the New York Mets, and we're excited about you and your future. And I just thought to myself, okay, where the heck is New York at? I had never been out of California. I grew up in California watching the LA Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds play. And most people don't understand, that's how I got involved in baseball, was because of the Dodgers and the Cincinnati Reds. That's when the Reds were the big red machine. And I saw the Reds, and they had all these great players, Tony Perez and Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan, and just so many guys, Concepcion, this guy and that guy. And then they had this one guy called Pete Rose. And, I saw Pete Rose play, and I saw his uniform, and I realized that's what a baseball player is supposed to look like. That's why I wanted to play baseball, because I became a big fan of Pete Rose. He was Charlie Hustle, and, he would dive into bases, and his uniform was always dirty, and he looked different than other players, and I thought, man, if I'm going to play baseball, I need to look like this guy, and I need my uniform to be dirty, because if your uniform was clean when you was playing growing up, that means you wasn't doing anything.
I mean, yeah, I just interviewed Pete Rose, man. He's a real character.
He's a character.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character, and it's a shame they won't let him in the Hall of Fame. Here's a guy of his career and what he did on the field. Everybody's done something in life, but what he did on the field, nobody's ever gonna get 4,000 hits. So I know I won't be living to see it. And that's history for a guy like him. So
yeah. No, he's still salty about that, but I don't think in his lifetime he's going to be in the Hall of Fame, unfortunately, because the whole gambling thing.
Yeah, not as long as he's living. Maybe after, he's gone. He might decide, make the decision to let him in. But he was a great player. I just tell you, he didn't have the talent of a lot of other great players, but he had more hustle than any player I ever seen play the game of baseball, and that's what really intrigued me to play baseball, because of his hustle, the way he hustled, the way he walked. When he took a walk, he didn't walk; he sprinted down to first base. And you just love that. I mean, I was like, this guy is the real deal.
Well, explain it to me. So you're the #1 overall draft pick for the Mets, but after they draft you, they send you to the minors.
Yes, they sent me to the minors. They sent me from Crenshaw High, all black community school, to Lynchburg, Virginia. Well, no, not Lynchburg, Virginia. Let me go wrong. I'm going to get ahead of that. Kingsport, Tennessee. That was my first stop in my rookie year. Kingsport, Tennessee, in the middle of nowhere. I was culture shocked, from coming from Crenshaw High and where we came from. And of course, we played other schools. They were white schools and everything that we played against, like Palisades High and Venice High, Westchester. But our school was African-American school, and we had a white coach. And so I really never was exposed to going anywhere like I was until I went to Kingsport, Tennessee. And I just thought to myself, oh my God, Mom. I called my mom every night and just cried about coming home. And she's like, no, this is the decision you made, because I had a choice to go to Oklahoma State to play basketball and baseball, but I was the #1 pick, so I signed with the Mets, and I ended up in Kingsport, Tennessee to kick off my career.